I got to look through this stuff, and it's these guys are good. So I'm at some point I have to like reference this stuff to make sure that I'm playing it right, you know. But you know what? Oh, the kids from the School of Rock thing, they got their hands on this thing, and we played a whole bunch of Dethklok tunes together, and it was all sounding like pitch perfect. So I mean, like, it's great because, you know, I overdub like crazy. Like, I'm not about to like compromise logic. You know, if it's 6 guitars, I don't care. I want it to sound like 6 guitars. I don't care if I can pull it off live. I'll worry about that when I get there. So, you know, between me and Mike, we had to figure out a way to make Mike Keneally find 2 guitars to sound like 4 or 6. So we'll do like double stops and weird kind of stuff, and that's all kind of in there. There's a way to make like 2 guitars sound like much more guitars than there are, and try to make it all sound full and thick. I don't know, I just always knew guitars were cool, and at some point I started saving my money and mowing lawns and figured I'd get a guitar, and I had a local music school, a local teacher at the local music shop who would teach me chords and scales and all that stuff, and for some reason I had a buddy also who was into the academics of music as well as interested in shredding and scales and all that stuff too. So I learned all my chords and my chord theory and stuff, and at some point I realized that, you know, I don't know what else I'm going to do. I may as well start looking towards music school as an option, and I may as well actually have to, I know I'm going to be testing this stuff, so I may as well learn all these chords. And plus, for me, like, I wasn't good in school or anything. I was a terrible student. And, but all that other stuff was logical and made sense. Like, all the music and all the rhythm and all that stuff made sense. So, and then to get all the shredding and all that stuff, I was one of those instructional video nerds, you know, who watched, like, Paul Gilbert. Pretty much, like, I'm not exclusive. Like, I like guys that really play the guitar, but like one of my favorites is Brian May, of course, and I rip him off mercilessly through the Dethklok stuff, but I just put double kicks underneath it, you know, and tune my guitar down to C standard, you know, and I'm sure he'll be suing me one of these days, but pretty much I'm just mercilessly ripping off Brian May. I love, you know, Jeff Beck. I'm a huge Jeff Beck fan. The older I get, the more I get into like Jeff Beck too, and I love Paul Gilbert. I love Yngwie, you know. I love most of the guys that are out there right now, well, that I should be watching them talk, you know. You know, Steve Morse. I'm a big Steve Morse fan. Like, pretty much anybody that's ever done anything guitar, I've listened to them, and I probably got all of their CDs. You know, I'm a real guitar nerd. You know, and I'm one of those geeks who wants to know exactly what pedal they're playing, what kind of cable, what kind of amp, just like everybody else here. You know. But Steve Vai came to one of our Dethklok shows, like on his birthday, which was pretty awesome, yeah. And it was probably an evening of some of my worst guitar playing, which is pretty. You know, when you play Dethklok stuff, like, it's funny. Each night you go, okay, like, I'm just gonna try to nail everything, and either I'm playing like Squiska or I'm playing like Toki. And that night I was playing like Toki, which is not very good. Yeah. Well, when I first started out, I was going to make one of the guitars just way, way better than the other, and I was like, I think this is going to hurt the music, so I think if I'm going to do like harmonies and stuff like that, I have to have them be able to be somewhere in the same ballpark, but I think one of them just has a little bit more stage fright than the other, and so he'll blow it sometimes more than the other, but I think they have to be, you know, pretty much like, or sometimes, you know, if I have them in my mind trade off, like in the first album, I'll have them trade off. One of them plays a little bit more pentatonic box style, then the other one has a little bit more scalular kind of like knowledge than the other. So in my mind, I'm having them kind of do that just a little bit. So yeah, actually I do, you know, slightly, yeah. Paul Green, who does these rock schools, it's a huge, huge thing. All across the U.S. There's like 45, 50 schools. Asked me if I would be a guest artist and come and sit with a whole bunch of kids and basically go on a miniature tour with them. And all we did was play like old school metal tunes, like old stuff, you know, like, and then like some classic rock and Queen and things like that, some stuff that I, you know, really love. And it was a lot of fun. We did like, you know, we did like 2 weeks or less than that because the kids are all like teenagers and they have to go to school, so that's as much time as they could get off. But it was really a blast. We had like 20-something songs that I had to learn also, like old Van Halen and stuff like that. Stuff that I loved that I'd never really figured out all the way through and stuff. So so I sat there and I played with kids and I'd trade solos back and forth. And these kids are like 14 years old and they're just blazing guitarists, and it's really embarrassing for me to be a grown-up and play worse than them every single night. To do a TV show and to do a record and a tour at the same time was a stupid decision on my part. That was too much work. That was a dumb idea. If you guys are thinking of making your own TV shows and touring with them and making a record at the same time, it's too much work and it's very stupid. Don't do it. If you value sleep, time with your friends, your pets, it's not going to happen. And that's what this year has been. I shot my mouth off and I said, hey, I want to do all this stupid stuff. And Adult Swim was like, yeah, okay, but you have to do it. And I was like, oh, I don't like that part. I don't like that I have to do it. I like selling you on ideas, and I like walking away from them into the sunset, just knowing that I could have done these things. But then they forced me to have to do it. So I did the record this earlier 2009, and did a 7-week tour with Mastodon and Dethklok, and it was a lot of fun. It was too much fun. But then I had to produce a TV show at the same time, and that wasn't so fun either. And if it were up to me between touring and producing a TV show, I'd take touring because you get to play guitar all day, and it's fun, and there's free booze. Let me rest first, and then I'll get to all that stuff. But I just gotta watch what I say, because then I have to do it. Like if people are like, what about the movie? What about this? What about that? Like I want to do all that stuff. I just have to make sure I don't do it all at the same time, because I will have an aneurysm. Don't even start. Don't even. It's too early, and I don't even have an outline. So don't just get off my back.